Good morning. This is Shindo. Well, this morning, with everything going on here in the United States that is ostensibly making Trump look bad, Trump has set out on his first foreign trip. Right now, as of a couple hours ago, middle of the night, here in the States, he arrived in Saudi Arabia. And of course, he is then going to go to Jerusalem and Rome as well on his trip to consolidate the world religions against extremism. I am only quoting from his own press release about the object of this trip. By all intents and purposes, Trump and the entire government here, I guess, his entire administration is in chaos here in the United States. They're Nixonian, according to the press. That Trump, in only 4 months in office, is practically on the cusp of being impeached. Folks, okay, let's take an intelligent, objective look at what's going on right now in the White House. First of all, first and foremost, regardless of what you think of Trump, I know that this is going to come as a major shock to you, but he is not an idiot. This is all part of his master plan. This foreign trip is all part of his master plan. There is no connection. Trust me, I am certain of this. There is no kind of Russian collusion between Trump and Russia. It's just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Him or anyone that was in his administration, certainly anyone that's currently in his administration, did any kind of collusion with Russia. So why do you suppose Trump is acting almost as though he has something to hide? Folks, he is crazy like a fox. What he's doing is he's drawing all the media into this. It's going to continue to go farther and farther and farther along down this rabbit hole, trying to really, it's a fishing expedition is what it is. Witch hunt is a bit strong. Fishing expedition is what it is. And in the end, after they do this for several months, in the end, they're not going to find anything. Anything. And through this whole process, Trump is going to make the media, which he despises, and he has good reason to. The media has not treated him very favorably. The media and the liberals, the far left liberals, are going to look like fools at the end of this. It's all part of the plan, folks. That's why he acts so guilty, because he wants them to continue to push and continue to push. And in the end, they'll find nothing. And what kind of credibility do you think CNN and the rest of them are going to have, the New York Times, Washington Post, etc., after this is over? None. Zero. Okay? And in the meantime, Trump is going to be over there in the Middle East, forging alliances and setting up the process for peace. and bringing together the three major Abrahamic faiths in the process. Folks, he knows what he's doing. Is he a learned man? No, he's not. He's not a learned man. He's not a knowledgeable man, I don't think. Is he an intelligent man? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think his IQ is off the charts. I know, that sounds ridiculous, but folks, he is manipulating all of us to believe that he's not too smart. And people like liberals who are already condescending, they already think that they're the brilliant ones and everybody else is an idiot. They fall right into this trap over and over again with him. And this trap is eventually going to make them he's going to neuter them. He's going to completely neuter them. I make a prediction that in the midterm elections, anyone who comes out in full support of Trump, this will be, in 2 years, less than 2 years, but you know what I mean. In the midterm election, these people, he will gain more seats in the Senate. He'll gain more seats in the Congress. And I say Trump will gain them. These people are basically going to be Trumpanites, not just Republicans. They're going to be full supporters of Trump. Now, as per to the trip that he's taking, he's going to announce something that's going to be earth-shattering to people. Now, is he going to bring peace during this trip? It's not likely that he's going to bring peace. Is he going to announce that he's going to help rebuild the third temple? I don't think he's going to do that, not on this trip. But I found it interesting because I figured that those particular Jews in Israel that are the Sanhedrin, they call them, the people who want this temple rebuilt, I was interested to see what it is they're saying here lately, last couple of days, about the trip that Trump is taking to Jerusalem. I find that part of it the most significant, and then second to that is going to see the Pope, and then third is going to Saudi Arabia, because the reason I don't find as much significance with the Muslims is because the Sunni and the Shiite gap is so great. The Sunnis and the Shiites obviously are constantly fighting. The United States has for years supported the Sunnis. They are more westernized. They are more able for a Western culture to accept and relate with and do business with. So the Sunni are the ones who are in charge in Saudi Arabia, which of course is where Mecca is. So these things he's doing this week are going to be significant, even if we don't know about exactly what he's doing. I have an article here about the Jewish mystics. This is from Forward.com. Jewish mystics hope Trump's Israel visit might raise the temple, quote unquote, raise the temple. Now, Christians are comparing Trump to Cyrus, and this is mentioned here in this article. Donald Trump's transformation from real estate mogul and reality TV star to president really reads like a strange American fairy tale. Dogged by controversy with no political experience, Trump is now the most powerful person in the world. In other words, he has risen out of the water of the people. He is a populist president. I have discussed this before. The Antichrist will be a populist president. just using the terminology that Christians use, the last dictator for the end age, if you prefer. To some, his triumph was so unlikely that there was only one way to explain it. God played a part. Some mystically inclined Jews see Trump as a sort of divine instrument within Israel's controversial Temple Mount movement, which seeks to build the third temple in the center of Jerusalem's old city. Trump has found vocal advocates who see him not simply as a political ally, but as something more. Quote, President Trump can choose to be part of a process to bring the Messiah, unquote. Let me read that again. Quote, President Trump can choose to be a part of a process to bring the Messiah, unquote. Rabbi Hel West told Breaking Israel News, a religious website in Israel. Now with Trump's visit to Israel fast approaching, members of the Temple Mount movement are hoping that Trump will endorse their project. Quote, we hope that you will decide to go up to the Temple Mount, unquote, read a public letter from a group of rabbis known as the Sanhedrin. The group is a self-stylized duplicate of the tribunal that convened during the time of the Second Temple. Folks, as far as I know, I mean, he has made this announcement, or, the administration has, that he is going to go to the Temple Mount and pray. So he's going to be going to the Temple Mount. That is part of the itinerary. We'll see. Maybe he won't go, but that is part of the itinerary for Trump to go to the Temple Mount and pray in front of the Wailing Wall. If you seek world peace, the rabbi's letter goes on, then there's only one way to do this. Quote, declare the raising up of the temple, unquote. Of course, this is unlikely to happen, but during the campaign, Trump enjoyed popularity in evangelical and some Orthodox Jewish circles, where his rise was cast in religious terms. Some even compared Trump to the biblical king Cyrus, referring to in Isaiah as God's, quote, anointed one, unquote, which, by the way, anointed one is what Christ means, folks. Christ literally means the anointed one, who, though not Jewish, served the Hebrew God and aided the Jewish people. Trump was decidedly not non-religious candidate, the thinking goes, but one who's seen as still serving the interest of Americans on the religious right. For Israel's Temple Mount movement, the comparison was even more explicit. In the Bible, Cyrus decreed that Jewish temple in Jerusalem be built after the Babylonian exile. Quote, I hope that Trump will ascend the Temple Mount, and from that source of light and energy in the world, lead us in a dialogue of peace and reconciliation, unquote. Yehuda Glick, a Nazareth member and leading figure in the Temple Mount movement, told Israel National News last fall. Rabbis who are aligned with the movement are now saying that if Trump comes to Jerusalem and prays on the Mount, which he's planning to do, he will receive a, quote, blessing of Solomon, unquote, given to, quote, foreign kings. Quote, when King Solomon completed the temple, he dedicated the building by calling on foreign kings to come and pray. Rabbi Dov Stein, also a member of the Sanhedrin, recently told Breaking Israel News, quote, the proper place for a leader to pray is on the Temple Mount. If President Trump does so, he will receive this blessing, unquote. The Jews in Israel, these particular ones, are really, really wanting him to be not just a part of a process to bring the Messiah. They're wanting him to be the Messiah. And those of you who say, oh, well, the Messiah has to be Jewish. No, he doesn't. The Messiah only has to, in this day and age, all they have to do is find 1 ounce of Jewish in him. And if y'all do a DNA, a DNA test, the ones where you actually spit in a cup and you send it out to one of these genealogy centers, you'll find that it's quite possible that you have Jewish blood, regardless of who you are, because, it's out there. A lot of people have it. So if they find 1 ounce of Jewish blood in him, which wouldn't be hard to find, wouldn't be hard to fake if they, so chose to do so, then they'll accept him as this Messiah figure. The Messiah to modern Jews in the modern state of Israel, in the Jews in Israel, this Messianic figure, the ones that the Jews who are looking towards a Messianic figure embodied in a human being, that is going to be a political leader as far as they're concerned. That's the reason why they don't accept Jesus Christ as Messiah, among other things, because the Messiah is supposed to be a political leader, which, even according to Christians, they will tell you that Jesus Christ was not a political figure. But aside from that, I have been waiting for a long, long time to see these things come about. I have read the book of Revelation when I was 11 years old, and now I'm seeing the Trumpanites, the people who support Trump and who are religious about it. They are religious about it, folks. It is a cult. Coming out and even saying that the book of Revelation is not canonical. It's really not part of the rest of the Bible, and that it was adopted from Gnostic tradition through Kabbalist. A Kabbalist Jew wrote it, which, folks, most of the writers of the New Testament were Kabbalist Jews, including probably Jesus Christ. So, I mean, it's so funny that after all these years, after them talking about how, I mean, you can find hundreds, thousands of videos here on YouTube about Obama being the Antichrist. But now that Obama's gone, it's like the whole idea of Antichrist, the whole idea of end times, the whole idea of this destructive, cataclysmic thing happening is suddenly, it's all over. It's all over. And why? Because of one man, Donald John Trump. So what does that tell you about the people who say this as far as how they regard Trump? They are already seeing him as a messianic figure. Already. So we'll see what happens over the course of this foreign trip. I'll tell you this. You may not be hearing much from me about it. I've set everything up already. There's not a whole lot more I can tell you. I've led you to the water. I can't make you drink it. I can't make you realize what's actually going on. And I have said this over and over and over again. It doesn't matter whether you believe in the Christian God, whether you believe in Christian prophecy, because this prophecy, 90% of it, the significant part of the prophecy, can be done through human beings who believe in it. Does Donald Trump believe in this prophecy? He might. I don't know. I don't even know if he's aware of it. I think he's aware of who he is down deep. He wants to be this world dictator. He wants to be it. There's no question in my mind about that. And he will be it. There's no question in my mind about that. So over the course of the next few months, you're not going to be hearing much, if anything, from me. If you do hear anything from me, it's probably going to be in the form of me making comments on videos from time to time and on my Facebook. Those of you who still want to follow what I'm saying, I will send you a link to my Facebook. I'll send you a link to my Facebook group, which is where I normally put things up. Lucy and I are going to be traveling for a while. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know whether Lucy and I are going to be making these conventional videos anymore. I mean, I may make another one before the end of the month, because the end of the month is when all of this is going to start. It's funny and not at all coincidence that Lucy and I are moving on at the same time everything's really starting to come down. This trip is really the culmination of years and years and years of waiting for the significant prophecies to start falling together. And it is end times 101 when it comes to the person who makes this peace agreement with the Palestinians, with Israel, that person is the beast, is the small horn, or what is commonly called the Antichrist. Yes, I realize that terminology is not biblical, folks, so you don't have to tell me that, okay? I have been researching this from the age of 11. I'll be 48 in August. So I've been waiting for some time. It took me falling away from it completely and becoming an atheist for me to finally come back through enlightenment to an understanding. When I became enlightened, which is, I just passed my 6-month anniversary of that, which was on May 15th, which is also, by the way, the day of independence, or the day of Israel being founded. May 15th is the foundation of Israel. So, all these significant events that happened to me and now Lucy and I, and what's going on out there, are all interconnected. They're all interconnected. And as these continue, and as Lucy and I move on to bigger and better things, as we head on out there and are virtually quiet here on YouTube, as these things continue to move forward, the connection that I and Lucy have to this and to these end times will become more and more apparent to you and to everyone. Right now, it's not necessary for me to talk about it, but I can tell you this. 6 years ago, as an atheist, I sat down in meditation. I got up from that meditation with the full understanding of what's going on, with the full understanding that these times are ending. This age is ending. And I felt compelled to tell others about this to get you prepared. And I do that not because I want you to be afraid. I do that because I want you to be of a clear mind. If you know what's going to happen, you're more likely to be able to accept it and grapple with it when it does happen. I hope that even though I'm not a constant here on YouTube, that my channel continues to get people who are searching. If you type in on the search bar here on YouTube, Donald Trump is the beast, you're only going to find 3 or 4 videos, and one of them is mine. And the truth of the matter is, there are very few people out there who are saying this. They're very few. He has, just as the book of Revelation, not a Christian book, but it's a Gnostic one. Just as the book of Revelation says, he will deceive the whole world. There's some of us who are not of this world, who are not deceived, and who recognize him for who he is. I'm not condemning him, by the way, for who he is. The condemnation is more for the people who should know better. The people who put themselves out as being these paragons of virtue. They should know better. You should all know better as to who this person is. He's certainly not a person who has anyone but his own interest in mind. And that's what he's going to do. Everything he's going to do. I don't know. This may be my last video. I hope not. If I do another video, it'll probably won't be until he does something significant in this trip. So, they're waiting for a Messiah. They're wanting one. The Christians are wanting one too. And they're wanting one. They're wanting a worldly Messiah to protect them from the savage Muslims who are coming over here to institute Sharia law. I mean, they have really played these folks for fools. Because you are fools. Those who do not hear the Spirit of God are not of the Spirit. So I was told some time ago, those who are of the Spirit know the Spirit. Those who are not, do not. This is Shindo. Have a good Saturday.